Another day, another Western studio making a hideously ugly female main character. Now, I have to let you know that I really have no skin in the game because I don't play games with female main characters from Western studios. Oh, if it's from Japan, I'll play a female main character all day. Because, at the very least, in Japan, if the main character is fat and ugly and unattractive, you can bet your bottom dollar that the character themselves is going to bring something to the table in terms of being interesting, having an interesting worldview and a perspective, having a different quirk of either personality or power or something. There's going to be something there to enjoy. But Western studios, they pat themselves on the back because they think that they are speaking truth to power and representing ugly women by having these hideously ugly abominations as their main characters. And enter this creature here. This is a hideously ugly main character. I feel no connection to this character. I do not want to play this character, and I wouldn't and I won't. Now, some people may take that as, well, that's just pure misogyny, that's hatred. No, it's just, I don't want to play Western led female characters because I know what I'm in for. It's sort of like if you continue to touch a stove, even though you know it's hot, whose fault is it? Is it the stove's fault or is it your fault for touching it? It's your fault. Now, the first time, you can maybe say, well, maybe it's somebody else's fault. They didn't put a warning. They didn't make it clear enough for you. But after you touch it and you realize, ow, fire hot, the second and third time that you touch it, that's on you. So for me, when I first played a female-led game with a main character that was, kind of just horrible in my view, or I watched a Marvel movie with a female character that was a girl boss, or I watched the Disney Star Wars sequels and I got to see what their interpretation of an empowered woman is, which was Rey, which is one of the worst written, worst acted, most incompetently done, series breaking, repulsive characters I've ever had to sit through a movie watching. My answer going forward is no. No, I don't want to play your games. I don't want to see the stories that you have to tell because they are absolutely boring. They bring nothing to the table. And at the end of the day, there is ugliness not only in the character that you represent, but the words that you put in their mouth and the way that you express their story. Because Western studios have this thing where if you're part of a victim group, if you're ugly, if you're a lesbian, if you're this, you're that, if you're part of the victim pyramid, then you can't be criticized. And you just being those things is enough. But in Japan, they don't have that. There is no, victim pyramid. You have to tell the best, most compelling story. You have to tell something that's going to keep the audience's attention, and that I respect far more. So this character is hideous. They are unappealing on every level. I have no desire to play this, and I know that there's a lot of cope from this. A lot of people that are desperate to defend this, and they do this in 1,000 different ways. But all of them are incredibly weak. So this is the Fable main character. On the right is the face and nothing else. That is a butt ugly character and it's intentional. Whether it's to push an agenda or simply a style choice, I don't know. I need to see the rest of the game. I don't. But to pretend she's realistic, I have never seen a woman this ugly be the main character of anything. It's like, this is not normal, and it should not be normalized. It's just like, and by the way, I know that people will use this and say, all right, but you wouldn't say that about a man. No, I absolutely would. And so would a lot of people in the gaming community. I want you to imagine, okay? Let's go into a fantasy land. I want you to imagine that Nintendo has just announced The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. You get the logo, you get these sweeping vistas. You're like, oh god, this is going to be the best game. And then they reveal what Link looks like. And he looks like this. And he looks like this. Now, you may laugh at first. You'd be like, oh, that's funny. Because he's, ugly and fat and unattractive. But if that were actually the way Link looked, and they're like, we want to represent, realistic, unattractive people with Down syndrome. You, as a Zelda fan, would say, what the fuck are you doing? And it's like, we have no problem with people with Down syndrome. We have no problem even with people who are unattractive. But why are you doing this? Why is this in The Legend of Zelda? Why is this something that you've chosen to do? Some people would get a good laugh out of it. Some people would be like, oh yeah, this is pretty entertaining. But at the end of the day, when you choose to make your main character this unappealing, people are going to react badly and they're going to mock you for it, and they should mock you for it, and they should spit roast you for making a decision that's stupid. What happened to being allowed to mock somebody for making a terrible decision and trying to pass it off? I mean, I think this is pretty cut and dry. If you don't like people's critiques of your work, don't try to put your ugly ideology, I mean that literally and figuratively, into the work that you're expecting them to pay money for. This is not a free-to-play game. They're asking you to pay money to play as this character. They're asking you to pay money. And, here it is. Bro, I'm not paying $60 on this. No. No, my friend. This is going to be $70. They're going to ask you to pay $70 or more for this hideously ugly character that is designed all around their ego and their narcissism and their ideology. I mean, it's just simply unbelievable. It's gross. And there's nothing wrong with calling that out. There's also nothing wrong if you want to play it. You're like, okay, this character is fucking ugly. I want to play as that. No, that's fantastic. Good for you. You're like, I'm willing to pay $70 for this. Good. I mean, people bought Gollum. They bought the Gollum game. For me, I mean, this is right up there with Gollum. This is a horrendously unattractive main character. And it's done deliberately, intentionally. This is an ideological choice from Western developers, which is why I say no. I'm not going to play this, but let's take a look at Final Fantasy 16. Let's take a look at some of the characters and see. Final Fantasy 16 is a recent game. And by the way, here we have some more Japanese, female characters, which, they're not, it's not my thing, but they're not designed to be ugly. They're designed. What do you think the design of this is? It's a meta commentary on no, because whether the people making this content are as ugly as the Western narcissistic progressive that was part of the creative and design team, the people in Japan are looking to maximize the appeal of the product. They're not looking to send a political message. Now look at this guy. Look at this guy. Does this guy look? Am I saying, oh, this guy's too attractive? this guy's too attractive. Oh no. It's like, no. Whether this guy were ugly or attractive, I don't think I would care much. Most likely because I'm not going to play Final Fantasy 16. I stopped playing Final Fantasy games probably around Final Fantasy 13. But the fact is that in Japan, both male and female characters are treated equally. They are both made either incredibly strong or incredibly attractive. But either way, there's always something interesting about the character. The way they look, the way they act, the way they talk, there's always something that's brought to the table. In these Western studios, there never is anything else. There never is anything else. There never is another layer. It is always that they are ugly and smug. Like, okay, if they were to make this ugly character in Fable, and the commentary is that the joke is that they know that she's ugly, and that's part of the story. Like she's hideously ugly, and that's sort of the thing. That could be funny, but that's like a side quest where you play as this ugly character, not the main story. And so that's my perspective. You can think it's ridiculous. I've heard people say, "Oh, it's ridiculous. You don't play as a female main character." Not post 2016 from Western studios. But I made it very clear, if you're from, another country, like for example, if CD Projekt Red came out with a game and they're like, "All right, we got a female main character." I give that a try. I at least give it a chance. Because they're not, I mean, you could say technically they're a Western studio, but not really. Different values, different principles, different standards. But this is usually from America, Canada, or the UK. You get characters that are this just intentionally hideous. And it's offensive. It should be offensive to women. It's offensive to me. I don't want to look at it. I have nothing in common with this character. I don't want to play as this character. Having a main character who's this fucking ugly is just, it's off-putting. But there are a lot of people who defend it because they feel like they have to. Like, oh, there's nothing wrong with this. This is normalized. No, it's not. This is, how disrespectful do you have to be to women to think that this is the average woman? This is not the average woman. This is a hideously inbred abomination. This is a monster. But I am always amused by the way that the left tries to degrade women. And I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that. Everything about the left, politically, is designed to degrade women. The idea that this should be the standard of beauty for women is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And by the way, I think this is a guy. I can't be certain, but my instinct is pretty much that's a guy. That shadow and everything that seems kind of like a guy. But the point here is that by trying to quote unquote change beauty standards, the only thing that you're changing is which game I'm playing, because I would have probably played a new Fable game, but now I have no interest. And it's not. I'm not calling for a boycott. It's nothing that serious. I'm just simply saying this is literally what is he replying to? Plastic defenders at work. She is ugly. She is beautiful. I don't understand. Yeah, but this isn't Fable 3. In the new game, you clearly don't play as royalty, but a low-class nobody. Rags to riches, I assume. Okay, well, I mean, this looks like a much more interesting setup. These are much more in line with characters I would expect to play in a fantasy game. These characters are. She is beautiful. So her? You think she's okay? Okay, no, she's a terrible looking character too, and it's an example of ugliness. The left wants to turn criminals into heroes, wants to turn the ugly into the beautiful, wants to turn the fat into the skinny. There is no world where any of what these people believe is going to ever resonate with the general population of a free and functioning society. Now, you may have a bunch of lazy, egotistical, narcissistic morons that buy into this and say, yeah, this is perfectly fine and it's okay, because ugliness is, the new beauty. But no, no, this is not okay for a main character. Now, you can do it. There's nobody banning this from happening, by the way. This is just my opinion on what I look for in a game. This ain't it. We play Fable to slay Hobbs. No, no. Having a main character that is physically ugly reflects the ugliness of the people working on the game. Because we know that it's not because the character is interesting. Because it's like because this is not going to be like a rags to riches beauty story. This is going to be that she's empowered, she's unattractive, but it doesn't matter because she's still strong and independent and she's the most powerful. It's the repulsiveness of their ideology and who they are leaks out into their work. Whereas I'll take a game from another country like Japan, and I have no idea what their political beliefs are. I have no idea what they actually believe. But the game and the content is good. It's so good. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. It really is excellent on a whole other level. But you have people defending this. Of course you do. People, of course, a registered Democrat, of course. Slava Hamas? Palestinian, a Palestinian, oh boy. I don't know if I want, I don't know if I want to protect against Israeli and Russian aggression. Holy criminy! That is a Pandora's box that I do not want to get into. I mean, maybe for another video, but let's take a look real quick at Genshin Impact. This is a phenomenally popular game. I mean, just phenomenally popular. Now, the men and women in this game, is this a guy? Is this a girl? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. The point is that the characters in this game are equally attractive because the design of the game is not to give you some social commentary. It's saying, well, what is the most interesting look we can give this character? What is the most interesting ability that people would be willing to shell over a bunch of money for? Like this. This is, people talk about, well, what about unrealistic beauty standards? I don't, what am I doing here? But it's sort of like, I can go through this, and you'll have guys, and you'll have girls that are designed to look cool. I mean, this looks pretty cool. Designed to look interesting. Designed to captivate your attention in a good way. Not to make you stop scrolling because they're so ugly that you have to question why it's being done. I mean, who? Now you have my points become clear. You start to understand just a little bit, like what we're talking about here. Do I need to go back? Do I need to re-articulate my points here? This was designed not not with a political idea in mind, but simply to make the best looking. Should I move on? Yeah, you get my point though. It's like this is genuinely cool. Like I don't know if this is like fan art or whatever, but it's a character from the game. It's a cool looking aesthetic, and that's my thing. The what's your name? The whoever this is. I mean, look at this. There's nothing interesting. There's nothing appealing. There's nothing that makes you go, "Oh, this could be good." And again, as I pointed out, if Link genuinely looked like this, there would be some people who would be, entertained, I guess. They'd be like, "Oh, that's really funny because it's subversive and people find comedy in a lot of subversive stuff." But if he talked like this and, and he had like, terrible teeth and he was, British and he's like, hey, Zelda, yeah, I'm a commoner, don't you understand? Zelda's royalty. It's like, do you have a bottle of water? Like, if he was like obnoxiously British and was like ugly, looked like a bloke, people would be up in fucking arms. So it's not just men or women. It's not one or the other. What people want generally, and the only time that they're going to defend it is when you get these fucking crusading retards, these Redditors and other, refugees from Tumblr, who see this ugliness being mocked and they're like, well, I'm ugly. Everything about me is ugly. I feel like this is a personal attack. They will come out and defend this, but they don't even really want this. They don't want to play games with fucking ugly characters that make you feel bad by looking at them. I feel worse looking at this character every time. Which is why I go back to Genshin Impact, because Genshin Impact, I've never felt that. Genshin Impact has made me feel other things, like, a loss in a faith of humanity in certain things, given how much these characters cost and how much people pay for them. But the fact of the matter is that I at least respect that these characters were designed with something in mind other than we're going to make women feel and look bad. Because that's what that is. Oh, we have to make women look like Abby from The Last of Us. We have to make women look like Zero Horizon Dawn? I don't know. I've never played those garbage games. We have to make women ugly because generally women are ugly. That's what they're trying. That's what they're trying to tell you. Can you believe the audacity, the sexism of these people? They believe that women generally, on average, are ugly, are hideous, and that you need to represent ugly women because that's the majority of them. I mean, whew, it's whew, it's kind of unbelievable when you really think about what they view women to be. So I will always take a Japanese company trying to exploit the and look at G Fuel. The G Fuel has whatever this is. I don't play gotcha games, so I don't know if I would do particularly well at I mean, I used to play Fire Emblem Heroes. I mean, that was a gotcha game, I guess. But it's like, look at this. This guy right here, or maybe it's a girl. I don't know. It's hard to tell with the Japanese sometimes. Um, Cool looking design. Really cool looking design. And even these, side characters. I don't know why you have this little kid with this giant bunny thing, but and this guy or girl person, uh, Kaedehara Kazuha, Gesundheit. God bless you. So I don't know if this is a guy or a girl. I can't really tell, but at least it's interesting. I'm looking at this design. Their name sounds like it's like it needs to be deciphered. But my point is, you look at this character and you're like, okay, there's something interesting here. The sword is glowing. There's something here that draws me in. When it comes to these fucking rejects in Western game development, they think that by virtue of making her ugly, that is enough to bring people in and to keep them captivated and entertained. But it ain't true. I mean, I don't even know what I'm looking at here, but I mean, it's interesting. Lots of stuff's moving. You know, stuff's going on. Looks like Breath of the Wild. Anyway, I think I've made my point. You know, scrolling down here, I'm actually kind of afraid, if I'm being honest, because you know, who knows what you would scroll into. This character seems to pop up a lot. I mean, that character is kind of interesting. Yeah, now I'm just looking through Genshin Impact stuff. I mean, the characters look fascinating. They look interesting. Whether I would play this game or not, I mean, at the very least, what I can say is this might not be my cup of tea, but it certainly is better than the other stuff that I was looking at from the Western game developers. And so that's my statement on it. That's my opinion on it. It's okay to make female characters attractive. It's okay even to make them ugly. But I know from Western game developers that there's usually nothing else there. So, for me, I'd love to be proven wrong. I really would. If the game comes out and, you know, people play it and there's a bunch of reviews and it's like, her ugliness was integral to the game. It was a pivotal plot in the story and it led to something amazingly interesting. There was something to this. They had to make her ugly for this game to work. If that's the case, I will come on here and I will tell you that I was wrong. But something tells me that that's not going to be the case. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's video, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry that I had to subject you to this ugly-ass character from a Western gaming developer. By the way, let me just say, don't send any hate directly to the email or whatever contact of people involved. Make fun of them all you want. I know I am. I'm just going to mock them, make fun of them because their ideology is repulsive. Who they are is repulsive. Their sexuality in many cases is repulsive and it bleeds into their work, so they make these abomination characters. Make fun of that. Mock that all you want, but don't be nasty to people individually because it's not about them. They're part of a cult. They're part of a delusional ideology that thinks that this is somehow, you know, acceptable or okay, and that you should pay $70 for their ugliness on full display. The answer is fucking no. Of course it's not. I wouldn't pay $10 for this game. So yeah, it pretty much is as simple as that. If you don't like that, you can kiss my ass. I don't give a shit what you think. Especially if it's on the basis of, well, you know, other characters have been ugly. No, this is unappealing. This is a fantasy game. I'm not paying money for your fucking cope and the fact that you are insecure about the fact that you're unattractive. Go to the gym, work it out, do something to compensate for the fact that you're fucking hideous. There has to be something else there, and Chief, this ain't it. Anyway, that'll do it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.